Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. I wanted to pop on real quick because I have not filmed a video for this channel in a little over maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks. And I'm sorry. I certainly have lots and lots of video ideas floating around in my head for this channel, and it's just about taking the time to actually film them and then edit them, which takes forever. But I absolutely wanted to say hello and welcome to all of the new subscribers. I mentioned on my other channel that I have this second channel, and some of the newer subscribers on the other channel were not aware of this one. And so welcome. I think we've had something in the neighborhood of between 20 and 30 new subscribers over the past 2 or 3 days, and I'm super thrilled to have you here. So I hope you find a little YouTube home here among the friends on this channel. It's super casual, it's random, it's all over the place. Imagine a ping pong machine and the little ball in the machine just choom, 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 flying around from topic to topic. That's how we do things over here. This is just, friend girl chat. Imagine this as like a brunch session or a breakfast session or a lunch session where we just hang out and chat. Sometimes it's dinner too. But I wanted to update you all in general on a few things going on. Well, first of all, let me just share my tragedy from this weekend. We had a lovely day on Saturday. It was like 70 something degrees Fahrenheit here in the Richmond metropolitan area. And we went to a park called Maymont Park, M-A-Y-M-O-N-T, Maymont Park. There is a beautiful old mansion there that is still decorated as it was during the Gilded Age, where you can do tours and all of that. The grounds are really beautiful. It sits up high on like this bluff overlooking the James River. There's an Italian garden on the ground. There's a Japanese garden. There's a little petting zoo. It's like everything all in one. There's a little nature center. Maybe not the most exciting of days, but certainly a nice little family outing. Our kids are 2 teenagers, and then we have one in his early 20s. And we wanted to get them out of the house and just do something for the family. So we went on a nice long walk, and it was fun. It was a great warm day, but I had a little bit of a tragedy. My son and I were being clumsy, and we were trying to talk to the family, all of us, that we were walking kind of alongside of each other on this path. And we weren't looking, and we kind of bumped shoulders, and I had my phone in my hand, and it went flying out of my hand, and I could see it happening. I could see it happening. It was like somersault, 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 splat, and it landed face down on asphalt. And I was like, this cannot be good. Picked it up, sure enough, the screen was completely shattered. Even the little camera portion had a little like slice of something going on there. And I was like, ugh, because that means you're going to have to take a portion of your day to go get it fixed. I don't carry insurance on this phone. I carry insurance on my son's phone. I'll get into the whole insurance like scam thing another day. But long story short, I ended up, because of the type of phone that I have, that it's a huge, big phone, a newer phone, to get the screen replaced, and they replaced the screen and the surround. It was almost $400. I ended up getting a big discount on it, but I've had screens replaced on other devices, and it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like between 75 and 150. But because of the type of phone that I have, it was even more. And that hurt my heart, y'all. That's a lot of makeup products and fragrances that I could have purchased for 300 and some odd dollars. But anyway, paid it. Phone is back. But here's the thing I wanted to really share. It was only like an hour, the repair, an hour of time. Yours truly was like completely lost without her phone. It is amazing. I think we know it somewhere deep down inside, but you don't really understand how much you rely on your phone and how much it is a part of your life. Like that thing is an extension of your arm. Like it's another like appendage on you, another limb. It's a third arm, if you will, or something. And I was like, I think I'm going to go to Ulta while the dude is repairing the phone. I couldn't look up where Ulta was in that area that I went to because I didn't have my phone. So I wasn't able to map it. So I ended up driving around the parking lots like a crazy woman over and over and over again. I went to Target. I walked around Target, looked at a lot of stuff, but couldn't look up like reviews on items. And so y'all, it was a whole hot mess. I was like, what do I do with my life? I can't talk to anybody. I can't look anything up. I can't shop online. What am I going to do? So anyway, that just goes to show you how obsessed we are with these devices. And it's just life now. So I wanted to share that. I have some updates on a few audiobooks. So if you're new, I have a few other videos where I talk about some audiobooks that I have been listening to. I don't do print copies. I know some people prefer that, but I just can't sit still that long. I'm constantly moving and doing things. So I like to listen to books on the go on audio. And I have 2.5 to report back on, 2.25. And I have some fragrance recommendations that I want to talk about quickly. I do fragrances on the other channel, so I won't spend a lot of time on that. And then I wanted to talk about some products, both makeup and skincare, that I've been loving. And actually, if I can start with those, let's do that. So one of the products that has recently made its way into my rotation, and this is in my other videos, this is La Roche-Posay, and this is their retinol serum, B3 retinol serum. It's considered a pure and gradual release retinol. So this is not, I don't think, like your medical grade retinol. It's a very soft, gentle retinol for those of us that are scared of having our face peel off. So I've been putting this on at night. After I take all of my makeup off, I do my cleansing routine. This is the first step before I even go in with an essence or anything like that, because I want to make sure that this is closest to the skin. I know that if an essence is supposed to help things sink in deeper, that makes no sense. Like, you should put the essence on first and then this, I guess. I don't know, y'all. So many skincare steps, but I've been doing this. I am making my way through the bottle, and I will definitely be purchasing this. I think it does a nice job of like gently resurfacing my skin over time. I've only been using this for, I would say, about 3 weeks, but I can tell a little bit of a difference in the texture of my skin. So this is a big yes. I also wanted to share that I'm loving this Clarins Double Serum. Hydric and lipidic system. I don't know what's in here, y'all. It's a bunch of plant stuff and blah, 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 blah. But it's 2 chambers. One is more of like an oily texture and the other is watery. And when you pump it out, it mixes in your hand. I use this is on my face right now. I use this in the morning as my serum before I put on my moisturizer. And because we're getting into the months where the days are longer and you have more sunlight on your face, and I'm spending more time outdoors walking, I always have like a head covering. But as I get older, I'm trying to at least stop some of the additional damage that I did to my skin in my youth. Y'all, I was out in the sun as a kid all the time. Oh, all the time. That sun was beating on your face, my face, this face, all through elementary school, middle school, high school, college, early 20s into my 30s. It was probably mid 30s, early 30s to mid 30s before I was like, maybe I should take better care of my skin. So if you are younger out there, or if you have young people in your life, please encourage them to start their skincare early and protect that skin. But what I'm getting at is, so this is my serum, and then this has become my daily moisturizer. I still have my Paula's Choice, the blue one, in heavy rotation because that has an SPF in it also. But I'm into the dewy, gooey, ooey look, as you see here. As sort of a glowy under foundation, if you will, for the other products that I'm going to use. And I'm loving this Super Goop Play SPF 50 Everyday Lotion. It is sticky. So if you don't like that like waiting period for something to sink into your skin and kind of settle down, skip that. But if you don't mind waiting and working with something that's going to be a little wetter on the skin and take a while to dry down, maybe try that out. This is my second one. I had a smaller one and I purchased the big thing in a Sephora sale last fall. You know, me and the Sephora sale, we're cool. We're cool. Okay. So then let's talk about a few products, because I want to use them as I'm talking to you about the other things that I want to share, the other products that I'm loving. So I recently, in the last Sephora sale, I say that like it was years and years ago. Y'all, it was literally like just a few weeks ago. I think I'm putting this in wrong. Oh gosh. Anyway, this is the Danessa Myricks. What are you called? The Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder. It comes with this little scooper thing for people that don't want to put their fingers in the product. I don't really care. I put my fingers in all of my products. They're my products. Like, I'm not using them. Anyway, I don't care about that. So I got this in the color 4, which I'm going to show you is a little bit tanned for me right now. By the way, I'm sitting here when this came trying to like pop it open. I'm like, this is so hard to get open. It's a twist. It's a twist top. So it does come. Is that a mirror? Oh, wait a minute. No, it's not a mirror. It's just a like some aluminum thing there. But here's the color. It's a little bit deep for my skin tone now. I am on day 1, 2, 3, 4 of my spray tan. I spray tan on Friday. I'm filming this on a Monday. So it has faded, and I do exfoliate every day and all of that. So I've worn this once and really enjoyed it, but I want to show you what this does. Now, mind you, I do have, like I said, very dewy skin right now with all of those products on them. So keep that in mind. You can apply this with your fingers. So let's try that so you see what it does. I think it does a great job of blurring. Now you see on that cheek, it does have a lot of texture and pores, and it's already just, I mean, nothing's going to take your pores away, friends. Nothing can do that. But products like this and maybe some silicone based products can help give the appearance of filling in pores. Like if you picked at your face as a teenager and you've got a lot of sort of what you call pock marks and stuff, these types of products can help you. So look at this cheek compared to this cheek. Now, mind you, yes, it's blurred because it has created a dry texture over here where this is gooey. But nonetheless, my experience when I used it is that it did a nice job of sort of faux filling in the areas that need to be filled in. How I enjoyed using this was actually with a sponge. I don't know that I've seen anybody do that. So I literally just do one of these and there you go. So I'm going to apply that. And what I enjoyed the day that I used this is that it felt like very natural looking to me. So I spend, I would say, a good 3/4 of my day on video conferencing. Some days I spend the entire workday video conferencing if I've got a lot of meetings, because most of my colleagues, we all work like remotely. So anyway, it looks very natural on camera. It doesn't look like you're totally made up, like you came to work with a full beat on. The kind of organization that I work for, that's probably a little weird for people to see someone like me on camera. In fact, sometimes I'll get comments like, oh, you always look so made up on camera. You look so great, which I think is a very nice way of saying, girl, you wear a lot of makeup. And that just might be my own paranoia, because I think people are genuinely trying to be kind when they say that. I don't think they are trying to insult, and it's not insulting to me at all to hear that. But my mind registers that as like, oh, you notice that I have a lot of makeup on. So anyway, something like this, if you don't want to be that person that's like, oh, that's the chick that wears a lot of makeup, this is great. This looks very natural on the skin. Look at this. But it does give you just like a tad bit of coverage. Not even a tad bit. I would say low to medium coverage in a way that just, it gives your skin a little help. I love that the sun came through the skylight just in time to, like, is the word corroborate my story? Y'all, I'm 48 and still upping my SAT game, okay? My SAT word game. So what do you think? I really like this. I like that it doesn't feel made up. I'll just leave it at that. How did this last? So it didn't start to like break down. You know how if you look at a magnifying mirror, which I do have one right here, late at night, you can see how things just settled into all your pores. That's kind of natural for most products. There are very few like super performing products that don't do that, okay? I've maybe come across 1 or 2 in my life, maybe 3 kind of foundations that don't sink into your pores. They just sit beautifully all day. That's rare. And you got to do a lot of good priming and prepping ahead of time to give those foundations the best chance to do that. Anyway, this one at about like 8 or 9 when I went to wash my makeup off, yeah, you could see that it had settled into the pores, but I would say it looked very natural and very together, if you will, like it kept its form, probably through dinner time. I'm totally happy with that. So I am giving this Danessa Myricks blurring, excuse me, the Yummy Skin blurring balm powder for face and eyes a thumbs up. This gets a big thumbs up. Again, this is in the color 4. Okay, I was lamenting that I could not get the color 3, which is the color, get your words together, Veronica. The color 3, which I think is probably closer to my usual skin tone, like neither my super pale skin tone nor my super like tanned up spray tanned thing. But I'm very happy with this powder here. I will now put a little bit of other powder over it just to prevent my face from getting mega oily. But you know, in the summer, your face is oily. That's just natural. At least mine is. I mean, some folks have super dry skin that just never gets oily. So that kind of queued me up nicely to talk about the next product. And I'm using this for the first time on camera. I didn't even realize I was going to talk about this, but hey, let's do it. This is the number 25 brush from Rephr. Rephr is the company that I would advise to people, brush company, if you want to try out natural hair brushes, but you don't want to pay the insane prices. These are super pricey, but I'm talking about some other brands that are like, they hurt your feelings because by the time you buy a couple of sets, you got a mortgage payment going on. These are in the more reasonable range, relatively speaking. But this one is the number 25 brush that is sold out constantly. And I like that it has this side that's tapered like that. So I think this is goat hair. I don't remember, but it is natural hair. Yes, y'all, sustainably sourced and ethically sourced and all of those good things. So don't worry about that. So I'm going to use the Fit Me, Maybelline Fit Me powder in 25 medium to just do a little bit of light powdering. This was not part of what I was going to talk about, and neither was this, but I'm glad because I recently got this in the mail and I like it a lot. So then allow me to sort of flip flop back and forth while I'm doing the makeup thing. I always put the powder in the top and then kind of do one of these numbers to distribute, swirl around. It's on there and then I tap off excess. And then I literally just place see how that helps with the oil factor? Of course, it breaks through later on in the day, but it helps is all I will say. Give that initial light blurring effect on your skin. So then allow me to jump around just a little bit, okay, on topics. I'm going to go next to books so that I can do other makeup while we talk. So last time I talked to you all, I had finished up The Water Keeper. So that was the last audiobook that I read, and here's the video that I talked about it in if you're interested in hearing about that. You know what? I'm going to make it a refer kind of day and use my refer brushes. Not sponsored. I wish refer sponsored me. Hello. So anyway, these are some of the eye brushes. This is the O2. That is a packing brush that obviously I didn't clean well the last time. This is the O3, which I usually use for inner corner highlight and sometimes to go under the eye line with some eyeshadow if I don't want to use a harsh eyeliner. This is the O1 that has a little bit of a flatter edge side to side that you can use to pack on or to do some of that detail like in the crease work. And this is just like a general overall shader brush to work through the crease. And this is in the number 27. I have a bunch others, but that's just a few that we'll pull out to use today. Let me flatten out this concealer that has settled into the creases. Well, let me talk about one other refer brush. This is the number 22, which is a big bronzer brush. It's a little bit stiffer and denser than this one. The powder brush I just talked about, the number 25, which is very sort of loose and bouncy and has a lot of give. This one is a little bit denser. I'm going to use it with the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer in the color 2 medium to warm up my face. So, books. Hillbilly Elegy was the next one that I listened to. This is this sort of expose, okay, of life in Appalachian America. He grows up, I believe it's in Kentucky. It's been a minute since I listened to the book, but it's a gripping read. I think it's 6 to 7 hours long on audio, and I couldn't stop listening to it. He goes a little bit fast, so I had to slow down the audio a little bit, like 0.10. Anyway, the boy, the man, the author, it's a sort of autobiographical book, talks about life in like the Appalachian area and what it was like to grow up impoverished, okay? And he talks a lot. The whole book is about sort of the plight of the white lower class, the impoverished white lower class in the mountains. Particularly, I believe he said was it in the 70s or 80s? No, he's a little bit younger. So it was the 80s into the early 90s. And then moving up to, did he say Ohio? Gosh, it's been that long. So he's raised by his grandmother and grandfather, who are really sort of salt of the earth people, and occasionally lives with his mom. His mom has an addiction. She has an opioid addiction. So it's also like this expose on how opioids came to sort of grip mountain folks, people living in the mountains and hills of Appalachia, central parts of the U.S., up into the Ohio Valley and all of that. And I think what was most moving for me, if you will, not that I wasn't aware of this before or didn't know. Do y'all remember me talking about this in my Sephora recommendations? Here's why. It's such a light wash of color that you can keep it super professional, okay? And it's not showing up a lot on camera, but it just warms up the perimeter of the face ever so slightly. Like you can totally over apply this Charlotte Tilbury one without going overboard. And the pan is huge. Looks like I'm almost like hitting pan down there in the bottom part of it. I was thinking about my own upbringing in New York City, and I was thinking about New York City and cities in general and how migrant populations settle there. So my family, as you know, is from Puerto Rico. I was born in the United States, as were my siblings. And our story is a little bit different, but the effects of movement, transitioning from region to region, the effects of poverty on people's lives, the effects of drug addiction. Luckily, my parents did not get into any kind of drugs. They were and are, I mean, they're retired, but they still in their hearts are super hardworking folks. But I saw it all around me. I saw all around me communities ravaged by drug use. In my day, it was in the 80s when I I was born in 75. So from 80 to 90, I was 5 to 15. Very, very formative years in terms of your memories and how you see people figure out their lives or not around you. And in New York at that time, the big thing was crack cocaine. Okay. Yes, people used cocaine and all that, but mostly crack was like a huge epidemic. It was also the beginning of the AIDS era where people didn't even know a lot about it. Sometimes those two things were associated, all of those things. Anyway, you can imagine the sort of social effects that that type of thing has on people over time. I'm going to pause to just give a big shout out to this Byredo Remembrance palette. This is a pricey one, y'all. This is, I think, a little over $100, which if you're wondering who's paying $100 for an eyeshadow palette, I am, and it's worth it. Only if you're super into eyeshadow like I am. If you're not, don't bother with this. There are other palettes that give you a similar color scheme that are much less expensive if cost is what you're worried about. I will say this, I have found to be, the few times that I've used it, an exceptional formula and long lasting. I put it on early in the morning, and when I came to wash my makeup off, it was still sitting exactly where I put it all, and it was beautiful and subtle. And when you have aging eyes like mine, where there's texture and folds and things happening, this glides so nicely over your eyes. So there you go. There's complaints about the packaging, which I understand. The packaging itself is a plasticky, you can hear that? Plasticky type, and some people feel like for that price they don't want a plastic case. I get it, it doesn't bother me, it's a substantial plastic. Well, the Pat McGrath mothership palettes are plastic too. It's a little bit thicker, a little harder, so this is a little bit on the light side. I'm not as like enamored with this image here. I mean, I think there could have been something more interesting with the cover art, but whatever. So it doesn't bother me, but I'm going to play in the pinks today. I've been playing mostly in the more warm shades. Let's play up in here for a subtle look today. So that palette is a recent love, if I didn't make that clear. And then you guys, the book. I'm looking at you, Nadine in Sweden. She recommended this, and I had already downloaded it to listen and had forgotten and went back to it on her recommendation. This book gripped my heart, ripped it out, tore it in 1,000 pieces, put it back together, ripped it out again. 1,000 Splendid Suns. 1,000 Splendid Suns. Oh my goodness. Hold on, let's talk about what we're doing here. I'm gonna do this as the crease shade, and then maybe deepen up with that and put a little bit of shimmer on. So that's what's happening. Maybe one of these in the inner corner. So let's go. So, oh my God, this book, it's about life in Afghanistan in the late 70s into the 80s and 90s and through 9/11, that time period. And it's less about the politics. The politics are the backdrop for the book. Okay, all of the Taliban stuff, all of that, how the Taliban came to be, and what was going on before then, like 3 or 4 different sort of political tumultuous turnovers, the relationship between Afghanistan and the USSR at that time. So for those of you that grew up in the Cold War era, you know what I'm talking about. The US and the USSR were sort of 2 big giants, superpowers, at odds with each other in this Cold War. Cold because there wasn't actual physical fighting between those two, although there were other little wars and battles that happened here and there. But between those two, and both had a sphere of influence, a group of countries that were polarized either on the US side or on the Russian side, and it was considered like a battle between democracy and communism. Now, communism is an economic model, not a political model, but they often get confused into one because typically in communist situations, they also turn into some sort of dictatorships in order to barrel its way through the communist aspects of it. But anyway, that's a whole nother historical political thing that I don't have time to break down here. Can you tell I was a sociology history major? But okay, what the book is really about is a woman named Mariam, and a girl named Layla, and their experience as women in Afghanistan at that time. I don't want to give it away because there's a lot of twists and turns in the story that will absolutely have you. It's like you talk about a page turner. This was a minute turner for me. I made excuses to drive around and listen to this book on tape because I needed to know. I had to know what happened to Mariam and what happened to Layla. I was invested in their story. There's abuse. There are really difficult times in the book. And so if you've ever wondered what it's like to be a woman In a Middle Eastern nation that is incredibly restrictive about women's rights, both of the women had to wear at different parts of the novel burqa. Okay. So I'm not talking about hijab, which is just the head covering part where you can still show your face. I'm talking about burqa, that is a complete covering head to toe with only the mesh there for your eyes. So I'm not here to judge that part. I'm just here to tell you that it is a gripping account of what life is like. So check that out. Gosh, it took me on such an emotional roller coaster the entire time. I don't know. It did something to me. It did something to me. I called this a dry formula, but it's dry and buttery at the same time, meaning it doesn't have like a thickness to it, but it does have some nice slip. Okay, slip, meaning it's very, very easy to apply. It doesn't catch or anything like that. But anyway, A Thousand Splendid Suns. And I know there is another book called The Kite Runner written by the same author. I think his name is Khaled Hosseini, Khaled Hosseini, which I think I want to listen to, but I think that one, I'm not sure. Have y'all listened to it? In the book, A Thousand Splendid Suns, it talks about how young boys are recruited into the Taliban or forced into the Taliban, and what happened to those young men, like how they were treated and how they were treated in the regime before that. So, and I'm talking about some horrible stuff. So this book takes you through the entire range of human emotions. And when I tell you all that my eyes were watering up at so many different parts of the book, I felt hope, I felt rage, I felt disgust, I felt anger, I felt anxiety, I felt excitement, all of that. This is one of the most expertly, beautifully written books. Gripping. When I talk about gripping and compelling, here you go. But it's a heartbreaker. I mean, it will tear your soul straight out of your body. So get ready for that if you do that. And then now I'm listening to Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. One of you recommended that book. I'm so sorry, I can't remember the name of the person that recommended it, but thank you. That book is he's rushing through that book at some points. He's a little too quick on his delivery. Matthew McConaughey. It's his sort of autobiography. And I'm going to use this little silvery to add a little sparkle on the inside there. So I had to slow that book down also because he was rushing through the beginning. And at first, I wasn't sure if I was going to like the book because Matthew McConaughey, as much as I like him, he comes across really pompous in the book, like full of himself. And I was like, dude, slow your roll. But as I'm listening more and more, man, what an upbringing that guy had. I'm using the darker brown to add a little bit of depth here. What an upbringing he had. Again, his father was a real sort of salt of the earth guy. His mom is like a spitfire. And I think, are they both still alive? I think I've seen pictures of both of them and him. And he had a brother or two brothers. I don't remember because I'm not that far into the book. I'm like maybe a quarter of the way into the book. And man, some of the lessons that they taught him, the ways that they taught him, you're just like, what in the world? That would not be allowed today. So, yeah. What do y'all think of Matthew McConaughey? So he's had some ads on YouTube about an upcoming, I guess, some kind of talk series or something that he's doing. And he's got like Tony Robbins and some of those modern day, motivational gurus that I have mixed feelings about. Sometimes I love those guys and sometimes I'm like, gosh, these are complete charlatans. I don't know. So anyway, would love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to go under with a little bit of that light pink like this. So let me end this video by talking about some of the fragrances that I got in the Sephora sale and have enjoyed, and then I'll finish this look and show you what the final look is like. But I picked up 3 full-size bottles. Did I need any full-size bottles? But we don't talk about need on this channel or the other one. We only talk about what we want. So I picked up Good Girl Blush, Carolina Good Girl Blush. I adore the tone of this nudie pink, like C. Fiori from Armani. Very similar fragrances in that they both have citrus aspects, they have some soft florals, and they have a musky powderiness to them. So they have some similarities. They're not identical. I would say this one is maybe a little heavier on the citrus than the C. Fiori is throughout the life of it, whereas that other one becomes more like floral musky as it dries down. But this is beautiful. And I got the smaller bottle. This is, I think, the 1.7 ounce. So yes, I'm enjoying this, and I spritz this here and there because I like it. The other fragrance that shocked me, because I I have a thing with this brand. Well, it's the Kayali Yum Pistachio Gelato. My thing is more with influencers than with the brand. I don't have problems with the brand itself, but I have problems with any brand where people just run out and buy the fragrance and then like hype, 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 hype. Because I always wonder, is it really worth it? Is it that great? Or are we just like enamored with the brand and the owner and all that? So I do like Huda Beauty, which is the sister brand to this. And then Mona Katan, who's the sister to Huda. This is her fragrance line, but they work together on both as I understand it. I have several Kayalis, and this is the latest one. I didn't think I was going to love this, but I was in Sephora and did a little spritz. And then so I smelled it and I was like, that's nice. Okay, okay, fine, I'm good. And I went on about my day, did my thing, went to see Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton. If you haven't seen that play, it's a musical. You gotta see it. What are you waiting for? It's so, so good. You'll fall in love. I can nearly promise that. I can like 90% promise that. And if you're in the other 10%, I'm so sorry. But I could smell this on me very subtly and nicely throughout the day. And I was addicted. I kept sniffing and going, oh my gosh, this is so lovely. Is it like groundbreaking? Is it going to shatter mirrors? Are people going to be running from across the street to greet you because of your fragrance? No, but it's super nice. It's like this subtle, I felt like, I'm looking at the notes here in the back. I felt like this is like a musky, fluffy scent. I don't even think there's musk in here, but that kind of like weight or lack thereof to the fragrance. A little powdery, it has a sweetness to it. It even smells like women's shave cream, not men's, women's. Like have you used those like shave creams for your legs and stuff where it has a little bit of the men's fougere thing happening, but also just a slight hint of sweetness. It's like that to me. The notes listed pistachio gelato, throw that out the window, y'all. Hazelnut, throw that out. Sweet rum, maybe. Whipped cream, absolutely. Marshmallow, yes. Cotton candy, probably. So this is delightful. This smells really, I think it's a unique one. Not mind-blowing, but it is unique. And I found it to be long-lasting. Most of people's complaints is that it doesn't last. And I disagree. It lasted long, but softly. It's not like projecting all day, but you can smell it all day. And it's, yes, it's a yes. And then finally, and I may wear this as my scent of the day, Net Rose Parade. I finally figured out how to say it. Not Nette, Net. Where did I get this ink from? Rose Parade. So this, it's like a champagne-y, bright, effervescent rose, like a very youthful rose. And it's got to have some citrus in it. I detect something like really sparkly in the back. Ooh, yeah, like maybe lemon or orange even. I haven't looked at the note structure in a while, but I may wear this today and I really like it. The bottles are okay. I'm not like enamored with the bottle. I think it's a little bit bizarre, but okay. It's not bothering me, you know? So like the shoes, this bothers some people. I like the shoes. I think they're cute. So that's my product review update right now. Let me finish this look and show you how it turns out. Okay, so here's the finished look. I'm keeping it super simple for today. I did put a little bit of the silver shadow in that palette on the inner corner there for just a little bit of brightness. And I used a brown eyeliner to add some depth to the outer corner. I used the, oh my God, the controversy around this dumb mascara, the telescopic lift from L'Oreal. I think one of you recommended that I use a different one, not the black one, but is there a gold or a silver one? Let me know. I'm not a big fan of this. I think it's fine, but there was some significant clumping over here that with all the mascaras in the world, who has time for that? The wand on this it reminds me of the wand on the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk mascara where there's a flat side that has the product on it that you put, and then you use the other parts of it, if you will, to kind of up from the base. So I have other mascaras I love, so I'm not sure that that one is going to be staying here. On the cheeks, I have good old Milani Luminoso. This is a standard blush that is really light. It's not showing up here, but I can see it in the mirror better. This light washes it out. And on the lips, I have like a brownish liner. And then in the middle, Prom Night from the Huda Beauty Bullet collection, which I really like. So that's the look. I'm going to use my Rose Parade as my fragrance of the day. Have a blessed one. Thanks for joining me. See you in the next video.